Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Steelers can get a higher compensatory pick for Justin Fields than they traded for him. Last year, the Steelers traded a 2025 sixth-round pick to the Bears for quarterback Justin Fields. This year, the Jets agreed to sign Fields to a 2-year, $40 million contract. Which means next year, the Steelers are set to get a higher compensatory pick in the 2026 NFL Draft for losing Fields than the one they gave up to acquire him. It's too early in the free agency process to know for sure which teams will get which compensatory picks next year. That's determined by a complex formula that the NFL will apply at the end of the 2025 season. But longtime compensatory pick analyst Nick Corte predicts that the Steelers will get either a third-round pick or a fourth-round pick in the 2026 draft, depending on whether Fields plays most of the Jets' offensive snaps in the 2025 season. That means the Steelers gave up a 2025 sixth-round pick to get a 2026 third or fourth-round pick, a trade any team would gladly make, even before you add in the fact that the Steelers also got Fields, who helped them reach the playoffs by leading them to a 4-2 record in the games he started before giving way to Russell Wilson. And Fields only cost the Steelers $3.3 million in salary cap space because the Bears had already paid most of his rookie contract before trading him. You can argue whether the Bears should have traded Fields if a sixth-round pick was all they could get for him, and you can argue whether the Jets should have signed Fields to such a lucrative contract when the last two teams he played for didn't want him as their starter anymore. But you can't argue whether the Steelers handled the Fields acquisition wisely. They clearly did. Smart franchises think about compensatory picks when making personnel decisions because compensatory picks yield long-term picks benefits. The Steelers will benefit from trading for Fields in next year's draft, 2 years after trading for him and a year after letting him leave in free agency. Steelers' quarterback path is crystal clear following free agency debacle. The beginning of free agency hasn't gone as the Steelers have hoped for. After making a major addition in the form of DK Metcalf, it seemed like the remaining dominoes were ready to fall. Quarterback was the big question mark, and the hope was for a capable option there. Instead, this team saw their options dissipate almost instantly. The talk of the offseason was that the team was going to pursue Justin Fields as their guy. He inked a deal with the Jets. Sam Darnold also made a late push for Pittsburgh. He joined the Seahawks instead. The Steelers' QB options have quickly turned sour. So what options are left? The front-runner has to be Russell Wilson, given his experience last year as the starter. Aaron Rodgers has also been tossed around as an option, as unappealing as that is. After that, the options get even worse, and frankly, I'm not sure this team will have a great passer next year. While the quarterback room won't look great this year, the team can't repeat the mistakes of their past. They were in a similar spot in 2022 following the retirement of Ben Roethlisberger, and they rushed to draft Kenny Pickett despite the signs not looking great that he could command a team. The Pittsburgh Steelers can't get desperate at quarterback in free agency. With their options dwindling, the draft may quickly become the team's last line of defense. Look, drafting a quarterback is justifiable this season, but where they pick in the first round would make taking a rookie there a mistake. More than likely, they will miss out on the top 2 names. After that, this class becomes a mixed bag. While names like Jackson Dart, Will Howard, and even Tyler Shaw flash potential, using a first-round pick on any of them would be a massive overreaction. Read more. Don't overthink it. The Steelers hit a home run with DK Metcalf trade. What actually makes sense for the Steelers? Washing their hands of the quarterback room entirely this offseason. Go get a young option who has failed in the past like Mac Jones or Trey Lance. Add a veteran to compete with them like Drew Lock or Daniel Jones, and draft someone in the 3rd or 4th round if the right value is there. It won't provide Pittsburgh a winning formula this season, more than likely, although we saw Darnold and Geno Smith revive their careers. It sets them up to go and get their guy next year. What they can't do is force their hand to get a franchise quarterback by reaching into a bad quarterback class. If you wanted to be aggressive, you should have offered more competitive deals to Darnold and Fields. They didn't, but they can't let a small mistake kill them in the long term. Steelers moving forward with Aaron Rodgers. Future Hall of Fame quarterback Aaron Rodgers is looking for a new team after the New York Jets decided to part ways with him this offseason. But it sounds like the Pittsburgh Steelers could soon make him their next quarterback. According to a report from NFL insider Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk, the Pittsburgh Steelers are moving forward with contract talks with Aaron Rodgers, and there could be an agreement in place in the near future. Per a source with knowledge of the situation, the Steelers and Rodgers could have an agreement in place as soon as Tuesday. He won't be able to sign until Wednesday, when the Jets release him, Florio wrote for Pro Football Talk. While Florio acknowledges that Rodgers could still end up with the New York Giants instead, he explained why Pittsburgh might be a more enticing option for him. One big factor comes from Rodgers' desire to play 2 more years. If he picks the Giants, and if the Giants fail to make it to the playoffs in 2025, co-owner John Mara could clean house in 2026. A new GM and a new head coach could result in the same decision the other New York team made this year, a decision to move on from Rodgers, Florio wrote. In Pittsburgh, Rodgers is far more likely to get a second season. And he's far more likely to return to the postseason for the first time since 2022. We'll have to see whether or not Rodgers and the Steelers do indeed agree on a deal in the near future. And are you a fan? What do you think of the Aaron Rodgers situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.